episode 36 of the Sounds of Stadia podcast. Hope you're all good and you're having a nice, enjoyable week of gaming. My name's Chris, I'm one of your hosts, and I'm joined by my ever co-hosts in the cubes. To my left, we have Mr. Tom, our techie teacher, giving you an inaudible wave once again. For our audio listeners, Tom, for our audio listeners, are you there?
What does that sound like? Hello.
Hello, welcome. And right below him, we have the man of many pixels, Mr. Richie. Inaudible wave.
Audible wave.
Audible wave. Make lots of noise with your wavy magic hands.
The child coos.
The child coos. Exactly. Hope you're all good, gentlemen. We've had a busy week in Stadia news, but more importantly, gaming news. We've got loads of stories to bring you this week about new games. We've been asking for it. We keep seeing this trickle come out, and the dam's broke this week. Quite frankly, we've been absolutely washed away with a tidal wave worth of new games, which we will get to in the news segment. But first of all, I wanted to just give a rundown of what we've been up to, because personally, I feel like we've had quite a busy week in terms of our channel, what we've done. We moved past the 400 subs point over on YouTube, so thank you very much for your support and attention over there. It means a great big deal to us. Every time those numbers just tick up nicely, passing those milestones really does make a difference. So thank you very much. If you've not already done so, click like down below, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your fellow gaming and Stadia friends. Spread the word and help us grow as a channel. It's massively appreciated. But to start off with a little bit of housekeeping, if you're looking at us thinking, man, these three look a bit tired today, why could that possibly be? Well, we were out on the battlefield last night, if you missed it, taking part in our very own hosted Content Creators Cup, playing PUBG. We played with many members and other content creators from around the community well into the early hours last night. We tried to set it up fairly late so we could play with our global audience out there. We began at 10 p.m. UK time. I believe it was just late late afternoon for some people in the stateside. But we pulled it together, we managed it, and quite frankly, I think it was a great success. Do you two have any immediate thoughts on how it went down last night?
We had some issues with the PUBG servers, but that is very much hard-coded into PUBG. Other than that, it was a great event.
I think one of the best things to take away from it is that everybody really engaged with it. We had a lot of participation from the content community around Stadia, and the general consensus is that everybody had a lot of fun. So hopefully with the success of how it went, I mean, I had an absolute blast interacting with some content creators that I haven't quite frankly had the chance to really get to know and get to speak to. But hopefully this is the start of a lot of these types of events happening in future, because we loved it, the community loved it, so obviously that bodes very well for the future.
Yeah, Tom, the randomizer round on your part was an absolute stroke of genius, because although we had our own individual teams for then we just shuffled the pack. So you had people working with people they've never really spoke to, and interacting should make for some quite interesting content.
Yeah, it really does, and it was totally fun. I mean, I jumped away from ours to team up with my team. I had Meg, MM2K, and Yoshida, who isn't a content creator, by the way. I think it was just a friend of one of the content creators. So again, that was the community getting fully involved in that. But yeah, I jumped over to Meg's channel, dropped in on a video with MM2K, and we were talking while we were all waiting in the inevitable PUBG lobby for about 20 odd minutes. We had an actual joke about saying we'd not had an opportunity to work together yet, which is really weird. But then again, there's so many amazing people out there making content. It's no surprise. We're very much like passing ships in the night. We would never see each other, but we're so close. And we actually laughed saying that all over the Stadia community right now, there is little pockets of people having to create small talk, get to know each other, and basically just vamp for 20 minutes with no script. Don't know no one's taking the lead. There's no host. And we were all doing. We learned loads. I learned about Meg's dog, what games they've been playing, what MM2K is usually into. He's not really one for battle royales, which boded well going into a battle royale game. How good we all were, what our thoughts were on the initial previous rounds, who won. Meg shot Link TV in the back while he was on the same team as her. So you just got loads of really good interactions and different viewpoints. Now, I really do hope everyone out there who did tune in takes it as an opportunity to go and check out those other channels that are in our video's description and just see hell unfold from many different perspectives. You do not get that.
one big crossover episode.
Yeah, I can't think of a time that's happened before. In all the gaming podcasts that I listen and watch to over the years, like the big ones like the IGNs and such, I've never actually seen a competition take part across so many viewpoints. I think it's actually positioned it very, very uniquely. And I had an absolute blast. It was great, and I'm 100%.
I'm looking forward. I've got like 6 live streams to watch now, to watch back.
Hours and hours. Who says we don't bring you enough content? Even when it's not us, it's third party.
It's 20 hours. It's probably about 20 hours of content to watch.
Yeah, they must be.
We would strongly recommend that anybody who is listening does check out all of the viewpoints as well, because it will be a hell of a lot of fun to see. And every content creator who did stream it does have the links available in the description of their videos to keep sort of like pass that on a nice little daisy chain, really, of moving from one stream to the next. Or if you're feeling really chaotic, put them all on at the same time and try and sync them up.
That is genuinely my plan. I'm going to sit there. When I get a chance, I'm going to sit there and sync them all up. Just so I can see them simultaneously, because I think it would make an interesting viewing experience.
Oh, definitely.
Well, it'll save me probably about 15 hours worth of view time.
Well, while you're doing that, Richie, you might as well capture it all, and we'll condense it down to a lovely compilation video if you've got the time.
I'll see what I can do. But I've only got a single 1080. I've only got a 1080p monitor, so I'm not sure how well that'll work.
We'll see. It's a lot of work, but I think the biggest fun part is going back and watching people who were previously teamed up or part of the same squad, and they've been given smack talk back and forth, and then they were all broken up. So they had to work with new people, new teams, new tactics, not running as smooth as they were probably comfortable with. And watching them confront the fellow opposition on the battlefield. I know the Stadia Initiative podcast, the Team Bravo and Alpha were hell for leather at each other, and the smack talk was evident, and the humour and I think the heart-pounding nature that happened as that circle got closer and closer and they were forced into each other's flight paths was great stuff to watch. Definitely check it out across all of the channels. But we had an absolute blast, and I'm sure we'll be bringing you something similar, if not the same thing, again in the future as well. So keep it tuned, keep it locked to the channel, and go check it out. Go check that out. Taking it down from like a massive 32-person squad match, we condensed that right down to our one and only Richie. You've also had episode 6 of your Lost Words Beyond the Page playthrough. How many left have we got now? We're ticking over.
I think it's probably about 2 or 3. I haven't really decided whether I'm going to condense episode. I've got content for episode 8 and 9, but I haven't decided whether I'm going to condense that into a single bigger finale. Or not.
Extended edition Lord of the Rings style blowout.
I need to look Rich on, so I just need to watch through the footage for episode 9, because it's a couple of months ago I shot it now. I haven't actually looked at it in like over a month, so I just want to see what's in there, whether I need to cut any of that out, and if I do decide to cut out, then I don't want to be left with just episode 9 being like 5 minutes long.
Yeah, so we can go back and see how short your hair and beard was back then.
Oh yeah.
Just slowly watch it rewind and ungrow back into your face.
The beard's freshly trimmed. But the hair is like getting quite long and shaggy.
Wispy. I'm so glad there's not a camera behind me at this point. It's all well and good swooping over at the top, but the back parts, you don't want to see.
The mullet's coming through.
I'm definitely back in the 80s at this point. And then the other big thing, final one from me as far as the housekeeping goes, is I began my Road to Valhalla live stream this last week. I did 2 mega streams on both the Tuesday and the Thursday. They were both coming in, I think, around the 5-hour mark. So 10 hours of content, 10 hours of Assassin's Creed Odyssey on the Road to Valhalla, which comes out holiday 2020. So hopefully we've got enough time to get through it. But I'm approaching it from a live stream point of view where the stuff on camera is going to be the main campaign. So if you've not checked that out already, I implore you to go over and jump in with me with the lovely Cassandra as we explore through ancient Greece. But on the side, off camera, I am doing a lot of the side quests, the collectibles, and building up the XP. So when it comes to the live stream, we can just purely hit the campaign and the story, because I'm well aware it's a massive, massive game. And I do not expect you to join me for a week's worth of content non-stop, like 100 and odd hours. So I'm condensing it down. So we will be just hitting the main story beats. So if you've not played the game yet, or you just are intrigued by the story, but you don't have the hours to put in, jump into the chat, join me. And I know a lot of you have done so far. So massive, massive thank you for sticking through me with that. Do I wear a Spartan helmet at any point in the stream? You'll have to check in to find out. But as you can see, just to my left, I've got a Spartan shield and sword ready to armour up, suit up, and hit the battlefield as well. But yeah, we're going really well, really enjoying it. It's an amazing game, and I'm sure we'll talk about it at length again as we continue. And final point, if you are new to the channel, you're new to Stadia, you've joined us as far as the wrap-up. We've got to remember, gents, we've got, 3 days now to get on this pro deal, this 2-month free pro deal. If you've been hanging fire, you've been holding off, now is your window of opportunity. If you do not get in now with your 2 months free, it's going to get reduced down to 1, which still isn't the worst case scenario. But if you've been hanging fire, thinking why I shouldn't make the leap, do it now. Do it now.
Now is arguably the best time to maximise it.
Yeah. If you do it tomorrow, you get all the new games we're about to talk about. You get all the old... In fact, if you do it today, which it's no good listening to us now because of the days past, you've missed it. You missed it. It was yesterday. It was yesterday. But I tell you what, if you sign up now, you're going to get all of June's games for free, and there's a lot of free games that are still lingering on, which we're going to talk about in a moment. But for us, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. But more importantly, if you are a like-minded gamer and you want to engage more with the community, but you're thinking, hang on a minute, I don't know how, Chris. I don't know how. Well, I'll tell you what you can do. You can head over to Facebook, specifically facebook.com/groups/Google Stadia UK group, where we've got a fantastic partnership with Derek and the guys over there. And essentially, jump in, chat, share the community, jump into the forum threads, share your pictures, share your mock-ups, share your memes, jump into the Discord channel as well, and generally just chit-chat about Stadia and games. That's what we've all been doing there. Really great group of people. And if you want to make new friends on Stadia as well, reach out to them, drop your username in there, and they will add you, and you can play in communities and clans across the Division, Borderlands, Assassin's Creed, whatever you want to do, jump in and share that. But it's a great group of people. Massively recommend it. So then, that's the housekeeping in a nice little bundle tied up with a knot.
Well, it's been a good show, James. Thank you very much.
That's right. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you all next week. I've been Chris. If only it was that easy and short, gentlemen, we could go about the day. But no, as we've said, the Ents have pulled off the locks for the dam, and Isengard has been flooded with Stadia games.
The river.
The river.
I think that would work better if there's actually some Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, maybe. But you know what? They're timeless movies, and I'll reference them as much as I want. So you down there, Gimli, in that bottom corner, be quiet.
Yeah.
Oh, mine. Anyway, so that brings us, Tom. What does that bring us to, Tom?
The super sexy special Stadia story segment, aka the news.
The news.
I don't know why I did this thing with my finger. The news.
It's you're making a statement point, that's why.
The news.
It is the news.
For audio listeners, for some reason I put my index finger up.
Index finger.
I don't know why.
Testing the wind. That's what he's doing. Which direction is said games coming from? Is it to the look to the east on the second day, whatever the
coming
quote
from the cloud.
The cloud, they are, and they're coming from above. So testing for the wind won't help if they're just going to drop on you like a ton of bricks from above. But as we mentioned, the news. Here we are. It's been a busy week for games, and we kickstart off with a community announcement on Thursday. They left it late again, gents, just because they love doing this. They love leaving it as late as possible in the previous month to tell you when the new games are coming. Probably just to build suspense, probably because they've not finalised the deals, right? They're probably still signing the documents off wherever they may be in Google HQ up in the cloud. However, massive drop this week. We got 5 games that are coming to Stadia as of the 1st of June as our pro games. That's right, 5 games. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not even 4, but 5. Actually, you know what? I say 5. It's 5 with a caveat of technically we're getting 6, which we'll get onto as well. You don't get that elsewhere, not for the price that we pay. And remember, some of you are on a free 2-month trial still. So if this doesn't make you want to hang around and keep your subscription, something's wrong with your head. Get it looked at.
These games. It's an interesting selection. I'm really excited for these.
So let's have a quick rundown of the games, and then we'll do a bit more of a deep dive into them. So right off the bat, we've got Get Packed from our friends over at CoatSync UK studio. They've only recently launched last month, so we'll definitely be delving into that topic. We got Little Nightmares, which just came over from I want to say Capcom for some reason. Is it Capcom?
I think it's... Is it Bandai Namco?
Bandai Namco. I always get those two. I think because their logos are such bright yellow and colourful, I always get
it's definitely Bandai Namco.
We've got Power Rangers Battle for the Grid, which I know some people in the community have been hyping about, talking about as the season passes have been coming out for some time. When will we going to see it? Here we go, 1st of June. Super Hot is also coming
Super.
to Stadia, which has been on the bottom of the community blog for about 3 months now, is one of the mentioned games. We'll delve into that. And for Tom alone, this game's just for you, I'm sure. The Panzer Dragoon remake as well. It's coming. It's been out on Nintendo Switch for a while. So I think what we'll do is we'll start off at the bottom and we'll work our way back up the list, gentlemen. Okay. So right at the bottom, Tom, Panzer Dragoon. I remember back when we did the live episode, you were hyped about this, the remake coming. They still don't have a trailer for it for some reason, even though everywhere I've seen has been using the Nintendo Switch trailer because the remake hasn't got a Stadia trailer yet. It's the only one that doesn't. However, how hyped are you for this? You've been excited for a while. You fly around on dragons, right? Star Fox style.
Absolutely. No, I'm massively hyped for this game. It's a game I absolutely loved as a kid. It takes me back a good, I want to say probably 10 to 12 years ago. That's probably not even right. It's probably even longer than that, to be honest.
Yeah. Wasn't it like Sega Saturn?
The Saturn, so it's probably more like 15 years ago or so. But brilliant game. I've always loved my rail shooters. Huge Star Fox fan when I was younger as well. So that crossed with sort of like the fantasy world of the Panzer Dragoon saga per se. It's just really it's just a lot of fun. There's not a lot to the game so much. It's a nice Japanese story. It's got that like Japanese RPG story feel to it. But it is a rail shooter, and it's just something that's different. I think that's the one thing that I really enjoy about this is that you don't often see things like rail shooters anymore these days. It's usually free form moving around and so on. But the rail shooters, it's something near and dear to my heart. So definitely one I'll be jumping straight into, and I'm very excited it's a pro game. Was not expecting that at all.
So.
It's been almost 15 years to the day since the initial release. The initial release was, the first release was March the 10th, 1995. The latest release was March the 26th, 2020. Obviously, that's not in Stadia. It's a bit delayed in Stadia compared to...
That'll be the Switch release then, yeah. I think one thing to say is that it's also coming out with the latest patch as well. So I follow the Panzer Dragoon remake team over on Twitter, and I know there's been a lot of interaction with the community as well, with community requests and so on. And the latest version, patch 1.3, actually comes with a lot of new features as well that weren't there at launch. So it's the options to be able to have... there's a lot more going on with the game since the initial release. And we're getting that not day and date, but we're getting it with the latest patch as it comes out. So it'll be a lot of fun to actually delve into that.
So as someone who's never played Panzer Dragoon, I've got a few questions. One, can you do a barrel roll?
There is something very similar to that.
You double tap R or Z.
Yeah.
One of those. Great. So that's tick, fantastic. Two, what is a Panzer and what is a Dragoon? I'm guessing a Dragoon is a dragon?
Dragoon is actually a dragon rider / dragon warrior. I know the term is used in the Final Fantasy series, and it's usually used in the sense of somebody who is a lancer, somebody who uses a spear type weapon, and is typically known for fighting against or with dragons.
Right. And a Panzer, I'm aware of a Panzer tank.
Yeah.
So is it related to that?
Tanks and dragon riders.
Yeah. I mean, that says it all, really.
Okay.
A Dragoon originally were a class of mounted infantry who used horses for mobility, but dismounted to fight on foot.
So they're kind
mounted
of like cavalry, but
dragon.
unlike little Warhammer figures, they don't have that plastic base that keeps them locked into the horse. They can actually get off and do some fighting.
You'd have to have it detachable so you can actually fight.
Yeah. All right, that's good to know. Okay, cool. So the premise of this world, the particular image, because as I said, they don't have a trailer for some odd reason. Even though they're promoting the game, you think as from both Stadia's standpoint and the developers of the game and publisher's standpoint, you would want a video trailer, right? Surely you've got some kind of footage you can just get out there with the Stadia logo on it.
And they've been pretty good with dropping trailers as well.
Yeah, it's a really peculiar one. So in terms of the still image we've got, the dragon, or the dragoon, whatever it may be, has some kind of like horned helmet and armour. Does this play a part of the world, or is it... Am I just delving too much deep into a 1995 game with the lore and the story?
You might be trying to unpack a fair bit, but essentially, what is going on within the story is there's a battle between two dragons, the black dragon and the blue dragon. The actual character that you play as, which is I think it's pronounced Keel, it's Keil, becomes the sort of like the rider of the blue dragon after witnessing the actual original rider of the blue dragon getting wounded. So he sort of like takes up the mantle of riding the blue dragon there, and must stop the dark dragon from, as it is described, of reactivating an ancient ruin.
Okay, interesting. So I do have another follow-up question to this then. So with the new Avatar movies announced, because this is the vibe I get from this game, Avatar 2 and 3, and I believe 4 as well. Really quick, I'd love to gauge your two levels of interest on the new Avatar movies over a decade after the original. Are we hyped for these movies?
Not even slightly.
Tom?
No interest at all.
I was not really even hyped for the original Avatar, but I remember actually being quite moved by it when I went to watch it. Something about, I think, the 3D experience. I went to watch it. I think it was like one of the first of the new 3D releases.
Yeah.
And I remember being quite like, wow, this is actually really beautiful. Couldn't give two shits about the rest of them.
It seems like such a long way, but the reason I ask is just because it looks visually so similar to the flying creatures and I've totally forgot their name now. Banshees, I want to say Banshees. Sounds about right. Again, it was a long time ago, ladies and gentlemen, when Avatar first came out. But I really think if this game does well, I could see them maybe doing like an IP lent game for Avatar. With this, where you fly the Banshees through Pandora and in and out on rails. It's so similar.
I really don't think the Avatar IP is strong enough. I think Avatar is only really considered an important film because of how much it pushed technology forward. If it wasn't for that, I think it would have just came and gone.
Especially that Titanic simulator that was released years ago.
I mean, I'm not saying Avatar's a bad movie. I think it's a perfectly reasonable movie. I just don't think it's anything special when you take out technology aspects.
Some would say it's just Pocahontas retold.
Or Dances with Wolves.
We have heard that.
But either way, the movies are coming, as is the game, Panzer Dragoon. And the fantastic thing with linking it in with Avatar as well is if you've not had a chance to go to Disney World in Florida, the new Avatar ride is phenomenal. Like, they put you on a Banshee and it breathes between your legs, and they put you in essentially VR goggle headset and you fly through the world. Panzer Dragoon style, on rails, flipping left, flipping right. They blow water in your face, air, smell, sensors. Totally immersive. Just like the next game that came out this week, that's coming out this week, which is Super Hot. And if you're wondering why every time I say it like that, it's because in the game title menu, every time you get a kill or you finish up the level, it says Super Hot. Just like that. And it seems weird, but once you've played the game, you'll totally want to do it yourself and get on board with me saying that. Now, the game itself, I'm really intrigued by this because I've played it on PlayStation VR. And it is so fun. It's a phenomenal game, and it really demonstrates how good VR is. My worry is that it does not play anywhere near the same on the flat screen TV over the other side of the room. So essentially the concept is it's a first-person shooter. However, everyone in the world moves when you move. So essentially, if I stand perfectly still, nothing happens. So the enemies don't move, whatever. And as you start to move in VR... someone will throw a dagger at you, someone will fire a bullet at you, and essentially you can just use Matrix-style Neo slow-motion tactics to duck, to dodge, to weave in and out, throw weapons back at them. You can throw ninja stars, you can throw your gun, you can throw smash bottles, everything. In VR, that works fantastically, and it makes for a hell of a fun time. I'm very, very skeptical about how fun it's going to be once you break that immersion element of it. Either of you two played it before?
I haven't. I'm actually interested in it. I think it might still work. It'll probably have a bit of a different feel because it's the lack of movement thing is going to make it a tactical shooter. So you have to think about your movement more. But I do think it definitely is a game I would prefer to do in VR. Maybe
I think
Stadia VR.
The VR version of the game actually came out like a little bit later than the original title as well. I remember seeing a lot about the original title when it first came out, and I played a little bit of it in what I feel was like almost like a Flash browser version of something that had a very similar concept, or may have even been like a prototype for it. But again, as you say, I really like the mechanic with this of sort of like rethinking the FPS genre in a way. It's almost like taking an idea that we're so used to, but almost like a fast-paced shooting title, but just going the complete opposite end of the spectrum and being like, it's responsive to your movement. And I really like that. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to actually getting the opportunity to finally play it.
It really does make for some interesting gameplay. So it does tell you kind of a story, essentially, of what seems like a hitman. You're going through a James Bond-esque mission, and it starts off, every scene lands you in like a different basically like a big pile of hot bother, and you'll start off, I say, like the edge of a building, and there's 4 bodyguards in front of you, and you have to get past them, and your gun will be on a table to your left. But again, this is where the logical, tactical thinking has to come into it. As soon as you look left towards your gun, you're moving. So even just picking your weapon up, by the time you've looked at your gun, picked it up, looked back at the enemy, they've advanced like 1.5 meters towards you. So it's a bit like that game you play as a kid where you turn away from your friends, and every time you turn around, is it Mr. Wolf or whatever it is? And they have to freeze and stay still. I'm sure it's got many, many different names around the globe as well. So apologies for slandering your childhood.
That's not the comment, though.
Yeah, but so it's kind of like that. And then, as I said, like you fire one bullet off, and you can see the bullet whiz through the air. But even the bullet stays still until you move. So sometimes when I was playing it in VR, to speed things up, I just did this with the VR sticks and shook them around like crazy, just to quickly fast forward time. So I'm interested to see how it works on the sticks, but again, like you said, Tom, the tactical aspect of it makes it really, really interesting for a first-person shooter. So I'm definitely going to check this one out, jump back in, just to hear them say super hot every time you mop up on a mission. But I'd love to come back in a week's time and get your two take on it and see what you think about the variances from VR to
yours is probably going to be the most interesting perspective, having played the VR version.
Yeah, well, I might have you round once all this isolation
Maybe
stuff's over.
Chris will come back and give us a super hot take on that.
What would you call a sequel?
Super hotter?
Super hotter?
We should talk off stream, but we could potentially stream that. Super hot VR.
Could we?
Yeah.
We'll see. Topics for another time. Because what's that? The town's under attack from who? It's I want to say Goldar from the Power Rangers. What's that? Rangers. You need to Zordon with his big head. So we'll segue then over to the next game we'll get. So this is another pro game. So now traditionally we've been getting about 2. This month, like I said, jam-packed month. It's coming out with a third game. We've got Saban's Power Rangers. Don't want to confuse that with any other Power Rangers you're aware about there.
Get your branding right.
Saban's Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. That's just dropping also on the 1st of June. Now I'd say a lapsed Power Rangers fan, and I think everybody, if they're honest with themselves, is a lapsed Power Rangers fan, because you watch it as a child. It's all fun and games, and then everyone has it's like James Bond. Everyone's got their own generation, I feel now. I personally don't know much beyond when it started getting crazy with like not dinosaurs, like the Ninja Force and space.
Ninjas in
Space and that. Like my time with it basically lapses once Rita, Zed, and Goldar kind of drop out of it. The original's the best. The theme tune, Tommy, Jason, Red, Green, the flute, everything like that. The Megazords were the best in the old school one. So Battle for the Grid. Ivan Ooze. Who, again, is the bad guy in Indiana Jones, right?
Yeah.
Which is a little known fact. Go check it out. IMDb is the bad guy from Indiana. Is it Belloc? Is it that guy, or is it the guy from The Last Crusade? It's one of those two, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's definitely Indiana Jones. I just can't remember which
He's also
one.
in Game of Thrones, right? He's done quite a lot, I think. Either way, it's the purple guy, Ivan Ooze, from the Power Rangers movie, and if you've not seen it, go check it out. If you're an older person who's never seen it, or you're a younger person who's never seen the old Power Rangers, they are hilarious to watch. Go check them out.
Are they all on Netflix?
I don't think all of them are anywhere. I'm surprised.
An interesting bit of trivia is in the English-speaking version of Power Rangers, the Yellow Ranger was an Asian woman, but in the original Asian releases, it was actually a bloke, but all the action scenes carry over, so the Yellow Ranger changes gender depending on the fighting or not.
Yeah, I remember getting older and people telling me that all the fight scenes were Japanese animated, and they just dubbed the American cast in, and like all the Megazord scenes, it was all shot in Japan and like I said, all revoiced over. And thinking back, it's like, that's crazy how they could do that with a TV show, just repurpose it for a different audience. And that's just how times have changed with television and such. But it's so good. Tom, obviously, me and Richie grew up together. We used to play Power Rangers when we were kids.
Yeah, we did.
If I'm right to recall, I was red. Yeah, what were you, Richie? Blue?
I was a green.
Green. And then
to the white.
everyone gets to change and evolve. And that's how it goes. Tom, were you ever a Power Ranger as a child?
was a massive Power Rangers fan as a kid, like most kids of the 90s, really. Grew up absolutely. It was my binge as a kid. Always watching. I had the Red Ranger outfit as a kid.
Ooh.
I had the White Ranger outfit as a kid. I had the sword, saber, was it?
The little like the set where you got all the different weapons.
Oh my god, yes I do. I had the full Megazord OG. I had the white, like, the turtle thing that you could put in it, the Falcon that goes on the back. Man, I used to live Power Rangers. I used to live it.
Some of this shit I had as a kid, I wish I still had right now.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's my biggest thing is I threw like all of my old Star Wars stuff. My parents got rid of eventually. Once you get to a certain age, I think he's not played with it in 5-10 years. Let's sell it to a charity auction or throw it to the skip, and it's like, no,
or give it a younger cousin or something. It's like, but now it's like, we could have used this as a set piece.
100%. But I have a painful story. I gave my Sega Mega Drive back in the day, my original one, to my younger cousin because we had the PlayStation, we'd moved on and we weren't using it. And at the time, it just seemed like an obsolete piece of equipment we didn't use. So yeah, all the games, all like 20 plus cartridge games, all bundled up, given away. And they ended up being sold on a car boot sale. Gone. And it's like, it pains me so much. But back to Power Rangers, Battle for the Grid's coming out. In all honesty, we've never had a great Power Rangers game, I don't think. The Sega Mega Drive game is so fun. However, what are your two takes on Battle for the Grid?
After 10,000 years, the game is finally on Stadia. It's a fighting game. Am I correct with that? It's Mortal Kombat-esque. So
it looks like a perfectly competent fighting game. That's about all I have to really say about it, to be honest. I'm not a fighting game person.
I do think that one thing that should be said about this is the first game, and it's an interesting one that this is the first game that is cross-play with all platforms. I'm talking PC, Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and now Stadia. It is cross-platform on 5 platforms. Every platform is cross-play with each other.
Well, it's interesting because Stadia, right from the start, I've always said like cross-play, they're open to it. It's down to developers to like kind of figure it out. So there's not that many games that actually utilize it. There's some starting to. PUBG has crossplay with Xbox,
PC,
PlayStation, I believe.
And actually and PC, depending what inputs you're using. What else?
Division 2's PC as well. I think Ubisoft are very much happy with playing with PC counterparts for now.
But there just seems to be like some games that really could. Destiny, for example, is a perfect example of a game that is crying out for crossplay.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely. It's good to see though, and there's definitely enough ranges that cross over, like the Police, Time Force, Space Cadet, Adventure, Dinosaur Land versions of Power Rangers that there have been. It's one of those that I probably wouldn't buy it for. I did buy the platform fighting Power Rangers game that came out I think last year. I've totally forgot what it's called, but it's the side-scrolling Power Rangers game because I thought it was going to be an honest recreation of the original one for the Sega. It didn't turn out to be. It wasn't as fun. The couch co-op didn't quite work. But I'm happy this is a free game because I'm definitely going to jump into it. I'm not a big fighting game person, like Mortal Kombat and stuff. Never really. I can't do the combos and the controls, and I'm very limited to what I'm capable of playing. I think it's more of me than it is the game. I'm going to check this out. I'd love to see you guys out on the battlefield. Richie, we can retake up our old mantles, and I'll see you on the Battle for the Grid. But I tell you what, Lord Zed looks scary as shit, right? Even as a kids' TV show, that is one mean-looking mother.
He's a bloke without skin.
Exactly. How that? I know violence and everything. It's all like fake fighting, but man, he looks scary on a daytime kids' TV show, right?
Yeah. It's all practical effects back in the day as well.
100%. Well, I know the Putty Patrol people, when they stand in the background doing all the fake fighting, they use that term. They use that term in real fighting choreography now for the extra stuntmen. So when there's like one or two interacting with the main actor, everyone in the background are putty extras because they have to stand there and do fake moves to make it look like they're not just stood waiting for their turn to join in with the choreography. And it's fantastic. But while you were talking there, Tom, I did jump out and find
Oh,
Find the
beautiful.
OG. For you audio listeners out there, I have the Sega Mega Drive Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie game on
It's a
Sega.
movie tie-in game.
The movie time game.
I remember really enjoying that game. That was a hell of a game.
The sound tune in in 16-bit is phenomenal.
Again, that's another thing we could probably figure out a way of streaming if we wanted to.
It's good. Just give the cartridge a blow for good luck, eh? It's probably not been touched in far too long. But yeah, so that's
a joke in there somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. That's what she said. So made by Bandai America in 1995.
Wow,
that one was
just as old as Panzer Dragoon.
That it is. But yeah, so crazy times. Another game we got this week, which I wasn't expecting actually, kind of dropped out of the blue. No one saw it coming. A lovely little horror Halloweeny style game in Little Namco.
Little Namco.
Little Nightmares, made by
Namco.
Bandai Namco or Namco Bandai. They changed that once or twice, right? It was.
I couldn't tell you.
I feel like there was an ongoing joke somewhere that it was Namco
Bandai.
That's why it's an ongoing joke.
Every 2 years have to alternate which way.
Yeah, of course, you alternate the studios. It's like game development. You just switch between different studios. It's Namco Bandco, then it's Namco Bandai. And it's just, it's totally messed up. But either way, we have Little Nightmares coming out, and this looks like some James and the Giant Peach scary shit right here. The animation style in this game looks jumpy as anything. Sorry for the Stadia sound effect there, just coming in. What are your thoughts on this, James? Looking forward to this one? Have you checked it out before on other console platforms, or?
I'm not usually into horror games, but I am intrigued by it. It reminds me a bit of like kind of something like Inside or Limbo in some sort of ways. I'm definitely going to jump in at some point. I don't know how much time I'll give it. It really depends if it sinks its teeth into me or not.
Yeah, I can't see it being that long.
Yeah, it actually gives me a lot of guilt vibes. This game does as well. So I think this is one to call out for anybody who liked Guilt. Should definitely give Little Nightmares a shot. I know it's been out for some time, so again, it's not a new title per se, but it's a fresh title on Stadia, and a lot of people may not have had the opportunity to try it out yet. So I'm definitely going to give it a go. It's almost got like a slightly Tim Burton-esque feel to it as well in terms of the art style.
The potato people.
You know what it is? I was just thinking, it's the sort of game I think I'd enjoy a lot more sat on the couch with one of you, and would you go back and play through the game?
Yeah. Interesting stuff. But it's a fun little game, and I'm sure it'll get a peak of interest come Halloween time as well, because it has that very scary tone to it.
Should we save it for a Halloween stream?
I don't know. I kind of want to. I feel like you could definitely get through it in just one go. I feel like if you powered through either one or two sittings, you could complete that. But it looks scary. It looks really interesting. I'm intrigued. Again, it's a nice free game that gives us a bit of variety. So we've got our fighting game, we've got our Unreal shooter, we've got our first-person shooter, and now you get a little platform horror game as well, which is really interesting stuff. And then finally, to wrap up our free announced pro games up to the 1st of June. We've got a little game you may have heard of. We may have promoted it when it's initially released last month. Get Packed. Get Packed. So we've played this before. What thoughts might we possibly have about Get Packed that may put a bee in some people's bonnet? What do we think?
The fact that pretty much everybody on Stadia has already purchased it.
How long ago did we purchase it?
A month.
A month ago.
Yeah.
When it came out.
Now, this is a problem.
There was a lot of predictions on the run-up that Get Packed would be a pro game at launch.
For last month.
So, yeah. So what they've done is they've made it a pro game a month later.
Yeah. Now, this is, I think, this lends its problem back to what Stadia, I think, has had initially, is the library is quite small still by comparison. We have to openly admit that. In terms of the game itself, it can't help but leave a bitter taste in your mouth, right? When you dropped £14, £15, $20, whatever it may be, less than 30 days ago, or give or take. Yeah. And now it's free. Like, part of me thinks...
It's kind of bad on Stadia's part, this. I mean, it's one thing if the game's been out for like 6 months on the platform, dropping it down, because then it's like, but literally a month it's a bit egregious, to be honest.
Don't get me wrong. It's a great game, but
Yeah.
it also feels like it needs development, like it needs more to it. Because I know people who bought it day one managed to finish it in like no time at all. And again, on stream, we played through so many of the levels that quickly that it almost feels like it just ends. Like where's the rest really?
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see more content come with it.
Yeah,
It might go like the Overcooked route and have lots of like DLC, which I would be against.
yeah. I mean, by the look of the level design, I actually feel like it could lend itself really well to a level creator. Just put your four, like The Sims, put your four walls up, put all your like copy and paste your oven, your kitchen, your table in there, and just change up the layout of the rooms, and then you essentially hit go and the van's outside. There's not really. I'm sure there is a lot more to it. I'm not taking anything away from the development of the game, but in terms of a level creator, once you've got the assets, it could be quite a fun thing to add in extra longevity for the game. Do we feel like we needed this, guys? We're getting four games already, and then this is coming out the fifth. Is Stadia just trying to just throw everything at the wall? And I mean, I appreciate it, but is this kind of one step too far? Is there any need for making this a free game when, like you said, it only came out a month ago?
Yeah, I think what they're doing at the moment is they're having a lot of sales, throwing a lot of games in the thing to build up that library. So you get people like us who can turn around and go, hey, here's 5 new pro games. So people who might be interested in the platform go, oh, that's worth a tenner.
Yeah.
It's that. I think it's that thing like, I imagine it might dial back on this later on, but bear in mind, we are still in that 2-month free trial period. They want to entice people to keep the subscription by keep throwing more stuff at them.
Yeah.
More like to keep people.
It's just, I'd love to be a fly on the wall between the developers, the publishers, Stadia, and just thinking like, whose idea was it initially to say we won't get packed as a free game for June? Did they go to them and say it didn't sell as well? Could we please have some more money? Because it's an exclusive to Stadia, obviously, for now. It's first on Stadia. Or did Stadia go to them and say, look, we want to give as many games out for June to retain this customer base. Can we use you? And here's the monetary payoff to balance the books. Or was it agreed beforehand? And then should us as founders and Stadia members be given an advisory warning that maybe this could be free in less than 4 weeks' time before I put £15 down?
I think it's better for Stadia to not have this here because, as you just alluded to, there's like you're now training people to hold off on purchases.
I saw many people say that.
Oh, here's a new exclusive game. Well, it might be free next month.
Yeah.
So do I buy it or do I wait?
I have massive
reservations. If you wait and it doesn't come, you might miss out on a cool game because other stuff is coming.
Yeah, I have massive reservations on putting money down for any indie games now because the last 3 or 4 months have really, really began to condition me in thinking that, well, why would I spend £10, £15 when if I just hang fire, I'm going to get it for free or part of my subscription bundle. It's a delicate balance, and I feel like it's tipping more towards the waiting side now, and I'm sure a lot of listeners and Stadia players out there are in the exact same boat.
I feel they just don't really have an internal roadmap of what they're releasing, because sometimes we're getting 2 games, sometimes 5, we get sales, sometimes it's 1 or 2 games in a month, 10 games. It just seems to be a scattergun approach, where if you look at like Microsoft and Xbox, they've kind of narrowed it down. Like with PlayStation Plus, you can guarantee 2 games a month.
Yeah.
So I've just had to do a quick bit of digging on Twitter because I remember seeing a comment a few days ago from Run Jump Stomp over at StadiaCast, who he had a comment on one of the videos there from Bjorn Bråsen, who's come into our channel a few times as well. So shout out to Bjorn there, who said that he's had Pro since launch, and with the June games, he will have paid $20 for the equivalent of 24 games over 7 months. So adding into the games he's bought on Pro deals and the cost of the Founders Edition, he's paid $9 per game on Stadia, and that includes a total of 29 games and 1 currency pack, which he purchased for Odyssey for $19.99 after the game drop. So essentially, it's crazy value for money, right?
Yeah.
So he's spent about $125 on games and add-ons on Stadia, and that works out to, based on the length of time we've been at it so far, $18 a month for those games. And so if you paid for Pro and another $10 a month, he'll probably never run out of games. So you can sort of see the argument here as to why they're doing this. Really, they're making it very worthwhile.
Well, and as time goes on, that number's actually going to drop a bit. The upfront hardware costs will be mitigated. There might be the occasional purchase of a new controller over like years of use. Things do wear out, but that's bloody good value.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
we've never doubted that. I think just from the initial investment, we've said before, as soon as these next gen consoles come out and you have to drop 400, 500 pound, dollars, yen, dong, whatever it may be, and we're sat there with our Stadia controller getting the best version there and then with no more reinvestment in line with our console counterparts. The investment's going to ring true as soon as everyone needs to upgrade their hardware. But to say that even then, after all that value, they go and throw another game at us, gentlemen. Another game. Stadia just stood there with their basket of games, just tossing them out, left, right and centre. You have a game, you have a game, you have a game. Hashtag coming soon, but you'll get it on the 1st of June. That rhyme, that was quite good, that. I like that.
Yeah. Well done.
Copyright. But no, so come the 16th of June, so if you haven't got through those 5 games by the middle of the month, too late, too bad. We've got another game coming out, and it's the highly anticipated for you two individuals as well. The Elder Scrolls Online, 16th of June, as a pro game. Have at it, gentlemen.
Yeah.
How is the hype level?
For clarity, this is the Elder Scrolls Online, and the entire game up to and including the Morrowind expansion. So any expansions after that, I actually haven't done my research on how many there is, but I'm pretty sure Morrowind might have been last year.
I think we get everything except Greymoor, which is the newest expansion. So I think we literally get the full bundle of expansions up to the point that Greymoor is released, essentially.
Yeah. So you've probably got hundreds of hours of content to play before you get to that point anyway.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Before you need to buy anything.
No.
It's definitely a title that I'm massively excited for, because it's essentially, other than Destiny, it's our first real sort of MMO RPG on Stadia. And Richie, I know you and we're both massive Elder Scrolls fans as well.
Yeah, we are.
So we will absolutely be jumping into this. Absolutely.
Yeah, my history with it is, and the reason why I actually say I haven't done my research properly is, the last time I played it, I actually played the beta, like the vanilla beta, way before the game even launched, and it was shit, to be frank. So I just moved on from it. I was hoping that at the time, I was like, what I want is Skyrim as an MMO, and Elder Scrolls Online wasn't that. So I'm not doing my research now because I just want to go in blind.
Now, the game itself is actually releasing on PlayStation 4 and Xbox a week before. Any reason, do we think, for the Stadia delay by a week? It seems like a week's such a short turnaround time to make any.
I'm not sure in particular, but I do know that the Stadia version will once again be cross-play with PC. So we have quite a nice little caveat there of saying that we get to play with the PC players. So we get to join an already built community.
Got one slight caveat to that. According to Stadia source, it actually features cross-progression with PC.
Ah, okay. Cross-progression.
Yeah, that's from an article written by Dan Wheeler himself. But yeah, I trust Dan on that one. We're digging into the sources, but which cross-progression is better than cross-play in my opinion, because you're getting cross-play, but if you play on PC, you can go for Stadia now. Right. And just continue.
Fantastic.
Now, as someone who's a complete novice, I remember, Richie, you playing Morrowind and stuff way back in the day. How does this particular one play? Like, because all I've seen is CG trailers for this. I've not seen any actual gameplay yet. Is it top down? Is it first person? What's the rundown of this like?
I can only say again, only from mine. I played the beta many years ago, so it's completely out of date information. But it was kind of similar to how World of Warcraft used to play. Okay. There was definitely some tweaks, but it was more of that third person. You got your action bar sort of thing. Tom, do you have any better insight in this?
Not to be honest with you, but from my experience, I remember it being first person, so I'm sort of going to contradict what you've just said there.
From my perspective, it's all just CGI, Davy Jones and ugly monkey people running around with big ears.
It looks as though you can shift again, like with Skyrim, between first and third person perspective.
It's Skyrim with third person.
So it looks like it's got a relatively similar user interface as well. So you have like the compass across the top of the bar, which after last night's PUBG event will be very familiar with that sort of like rotating north, east, and so on. Health bars of enemies. You've got your skills that run across the bottom of the screen. So It looks like you can choose the way that you want to play, whether you do decide to go with the first person or third person perspective. I suppose each has its benefits and drawbacks depending on what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Particularly if you're joining a big group of people and going for something like a raid or a dungeon or something like that there.
Yeah, sometimes third person, it gives you that wider perspective. But for me, Elder Scrolls is a first person game. I know you can play in third person, but I mean, my first one was Morrowind. You play that in third person, the animation sucks. It's like, even at the time, the animation sucked.
Oh, well, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys jump in and confirm for me what perspective it's played from. That'll be interesting to know.
Don't fancy joining us as an orc, Chris?
We'll see. We'll see how far I've got.
Khajiit says, "Where's?"
Yeah, see how far in Assassin's Creed Odyssey I am by that point, and we'll see if I've got free time.
System works. Is it more the dedicated class system, or is it like more open-ended like Skyrim?
Yeah. Exactly.
I like the dedicated class thing. I want to be an Argonian warlock.
Who doesn't, Richie? Who doesn't? But yeah, so wrapping up on that game. So that's our pro games for June. 6. You're getting 6 pro games for either free if you're still on the trial, or the low monthly fee that they ask for, which is crazy. The value in these pro subscriptions are getting huge, and I think Tommy, you alluded to it in saying the sheer volume of games now. That library is so well built. Surely you're not going to want to throw that away, right? At this stage, you just keep paying it for the sake of it. What's $10 a month when you're getting 50 games or whatever? Just don't buy any games. Again, I've mentioned it before. My theory is they should just go to the Netflix model. There's that many damn games in the library now. Just wrangle the last couple up together, do a Game Pass plan, and just put them all on there. I know it's financially and potentially not viable at this stage, but Google need to go big. We never know. We never know.
Even if it's like a half step there, so like all the indie games are under that model, but all the AAAs you have to buy.
Yeah. But like Sony have said with theirs, they're not going to do a model like that because their exclusives are always going to be like big flagship games you're not going to get day and date. Whereas Xbox have totally just went, every exclusive you're going to get day and date. So they're total polarizing approaches to the business model. We'll see who pans out.
It's interesting because usually the one who's losing out in the current generation is the one who innovates generation.
Yeah, you have to, right?
Microsoft have had to make drastic changes at the end of this generation going into the next, because they're basically behind. Now, I think Sony have a problem, a bit of hubris, because they've had this in the PS2 generation, and they got their ass kicked early PS3 because they made stupid decisions.
$599.
Yeah.
Ooh. Not with Stadia, however, and they're just going to bring us more and more games. So we've also got an update to the Metro series is coming out on Stadia, coming soon, trademark, because we haven't got a date for them. We're getting Metro Redux and Metro 2033, which isn't that far away actually. 2033 when we think about it. Stadia will have been around for a decade or more. Our games library will be 1,000 games plus by then. What
will the world look like in 2033?
We'll still be in our homes. Social distancing.
Still on lockdown.
It might look a bit more like Metro actually, come the time. But yeah, so we're getting Metro Redux in 2033. Now we did play Metro Exodus, which came out earlier this year on Stadia, along with the Sam Story DLC. We do actually have a video lined up to drop for you when these games come. So if you're interested in the Metro series and you'd like to check out the latest game, keep it locked and subscribe to our channel. We'll be dropping out videos as soon as we get a date for these games, so you can search them out and see our reactions to the latest in the series. But they all look very similar to me. Again, I've not played them before, so. There'll probably be pro games for July, no doubt. So I won't be buying them personally, but we shall see. For any Metro fans out there, fill your boots. It's coming. And hopefully we got these games on the Nintendo Switch not a while back. And then they came across to Stadia eventually. So this lends hope to that the BioShock collection is now out on Switch. So does that mean we're going to see it on... I really know what I want. The BioShock collection. I want the Arkham collection. I want any kind of collection of classic amazing games. Give me, and I can see it. BioShock August time, watch this space. But yeah, so we got more games come to Stadia. The final kind of game announcement we got of the week was the PS2 remake of Destroy All Humans has been given a July 28th release date on every platform but Stadia. again with the weird mixed marketing messages. So it's been officially announced for PS4 and Xbox on 20th of July, but not Stadia. But we know it's coming to Stadia because it's been in their coming soons list for about 3 months now.
Well, it was listed as one of the original launch titles, or like the coming to Stadia titles since the announcement of the platform. So
the platform's been what, 8 months out now?
Yeah.
So again, is this just a marketing fluff up?
Probably. This is what we seem to see is like commonplace at the moment, is that people, whoever's releasing like the press media for these is just, they're just forgetting to include the Stadia logo, which doesn't do justice for the platform. But
well, I think this is something that for the developers, you're forgetting this logo, but I think it's something that Stadia really need to be taking up with these developers, like drill it into their heads that we are a platform, we're here to stay. We want to see our logo there. Here's the logo.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to imagine Google are paying for this, right? They're paying for a licensing deal with the game. I mean, there's a team developing it for Stadia. You can't tell me there's not one guy over there who's not going, that trailer we dropped, or the trailer that's ready to go live this week, you know it's not got the Stadia logo at the end, right? We're working on that.
It's probably a different team doing the marketing for them. So whoever's shot the video and edited it is probably completely different to the team that's working on the game, I'd imagine.
But it speaks a lot for this lack of communication amidst like departments or amidst like Google's actual like presentations of Stadia itself. We know that when we had like historical platforms or services where games came out, such as like OnLive, the predecessor to Google Stadia, and also things like the Ouya, if you remember the Ouya console when that came out, you know, these sorts of things, they had games coming to them, but you very rarely see like marketing media that mentioned those back then because they were such fresh platforms. But yeah, they need to have, Google need to start throwing their word around and saying, look, we are here to stay. So
what they need to do is, in the contracts to bring these to the platforms, in my opinion, what they need to do is write into a clause where any market Stadia logo.
Yeah. And again, like Tom, you're a teacher. What's the last thing you always do before you submit your work? You check it over. One final time. Spell check it for errors, check your source material. As a business, if like I said, if there's a team working on the port to Stadia and then it's submitted for ESRB and such and Peggy checks and it's announced and they know the announcement date, surely everyone working on that game knows the day the announcement's going to go live. You can't tell me someone like at Naughty Dog who knows when the Last of Us trailer is going to drop. Surely everybody working on the game knows that's a key date. And no one thinks to double check the video before they click go live. It's something that is so easily edited on the end. Just get a PNG image of the we could do it, right? Tom Ritchie, we get a PNG logo of the Stadia thing, get right to the end video, splash it on there, render the video, done. That is one thing. I know we joke about developers saying we don't make games. We do render videos, and it is easy to do. Just put a little logo at the end. That's all you need to do.
Yeah.
Because then you just start wild speculation that it's not coming.
I actually put this down to Google, and just because I think Google need to drill into developers and publishers' heads that we are a platform here, and if it's coming out on a platform, your market needs to have our logo on there.
Yeah, it's just best business practice from everybody involved.
Yeah, I imagine the developers and the publishers, and especially the marketing team, the Stadia is probably not the big three at the moment. Is still Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony, and that's what they'll be thinking about. You just need.
They're not about saying that. But either way, it's all the game announcements this week. We do actually have some interest of speculation, which we'll probably touch on very, very lightly. Richie, you brought this to our attention, joking around and Sega and their revival. There's been an article came out this week about somebody teasing a June the 4th big Sega announcement. Stadia.
Maybe that's the announcement right there.
It's a name change. It's a name change.
To Sega.
Do you want to shed a bit of light on this, Richie? What you recapped?
Yes. So this was an article I read from Nintendo Life, and there was a gentleman whose name briefly escapes me. I'm stalling for time while I find it.
Zenji Nishikawa.
Yeah. What he said is he's claiming he's got a massive scoop equivalent to the Wired PS5 reveal scoop of that level, and it comes out in Famitsu on the 4th of June. So it's one to look out for. And in the same stream, at a different point, he did name drop Sega. So the speculation at the moment is there's a big Sega announcement coming. That is just speculation, and for the record, I haven't actually watched the stream myself. But I thought it's an interesting thing to keep an eye out for.
So wild speculation then, it's going to be a Sega Mega Drive 2, Mega Drive Dreamcast,
Sega Jupiter,
Sega Saturn Mega Drive Plus,
The Sega Master Saturn's Mega Drive plus Super CD.
Don't PlayStation have something big on the 4th of June?
They have something very, very big. I
wonder if these are linked.
I mean, you've got to imagine, right?
Has Sony bought Sega?
Oh, I didn't even consider that.
I feel like Sega has a much tighter relationship with Nintendo at this point, though, as opposed to other platforms.
Yeah, but that tends to just be a game-by-game thing. If Sony have dropped some money on just to buy Sega outright, there might not be anything, no contractual obligation stuff there.
Are you telling me that the Sonic IP is going to belong to Sony?
Well, they lost their Crash Bandicoot and Spyro IP to Activision,
Sony.
So they want that mascot back. That'd be so weird. That's wild speculation. But I guess we'll know for next week. I mean, I no doubt we're going to cover some next-gen news on episode 37, purely because we have the PlayStation announcement. We won't scare away from it. I'm excited for it, for one. I'm looking forward to see what they finally reveal.
I'm a fan of PlayStation.
Yeah, massive fan. Just look behind me. Looking forward to it hugely. But this Sega rumour, potential games, agreements, licensing... Will it have the Sega logo on at the end of the video? Who knows? It depends on the
Sega logo.
Sega. But yeah, that kind of brings us to a wrap on the news for games we have this week and wild speculation. We did also have a bit of a APK breakdown file that did come out thanks to our friends over at 9 to 5 Google this week. So I think we do want to just clarify some of the points that they brought up. The biggest thing I took away from it was we're going to be getting some more sales that tie in with particular holiday seasons. I think if you rewind right back to episode 4 or 5 of this podcast, we joked about the lack of a Black Friday deal, if you remember, gents, when we were desperate for news stories, and Black Friday came and went, and Stadia's community update had nothing to be seen.
If I remember, they were saying that there was going to be, but then they were also saying there wasn't going to be one. It was just like that messaging confusion.
Keep your eyes peeled this Friday for amazing deals, and then Friday came and went, and we didn't get an update, I think, till the following week saying... I'm pretty sure
the response was then, those were your Black Friday deals.
The ones you got earlier in the week, yeah. Oh, God. Like, hopefully... So, obviously, they're doing some groundwork behind the scenes. So, for those who don't know, the APK files are essentially when the app within Android updates. What comes with it is basically a bunch of coding that you can break down and find keywords. One of them being summer sale, summer of games sale, back to school sale, Black Friday deals, holiday deals, and end of year deals. So it looks like we're going to see some flagship promotions in and amongst our traditional like bi-weekly sales that we're getting. Anything interest you two from the APK file?
There's a lot of stuff there that we already knew was coming. That added some more wording in there. Non-set phones, touch controls, party chats, trials and demos and free weekends, all stuff. But that was stuff that we kind of knew of.
Yeah, we expected to see, right?
I actually want to touch on the non-certified phones bit, because I actually think that could be really big. Essentially what they're looking at doing right here is that putting the possibility out there to say, right, even though Stadia is not certified on your mobile app, we're going to allow you access regardless through it, but you must be aware that because it's not certified, we can't guarantee a smooth experience. So for example, iPhone, if Apple turn around and say, nah, too bad, you can't do it, perhaps with the app update eventually they might actually allow access, but just say that Apple doesn't support it, so we can't guarantee you'll have a smooth experience as you would on a Google Pixel.
Yeah.
With Apple, the problem is getting it on the Play Store.
Yes, agreed.
Where with any Android phone, well, it's there. You can download the Stadia app on any single smartphone, any single Android smartphone. You just can't run games through it.
Yeah, it's any open source stuff. That's why I favour Android. But yeah, iOS, the Apple App Store that you've got in there, it's so much more tighter controlled, and that's a credit to Apple and their security protocols and how they don't just allow any shit on there. Because I tell you what, there's some terrible stuff on the Android store if you look for it. But obviously, yeah, we can just download the APK file away from the Play Store and it will still run on the phone, no problem. I think what you're saying, Tom, it's totally right. This was something that was promised over a year ago now, back when they announced Stadia, that it's going to be play anywhere, Except it's now limited to certain smartphones still, to the pixel range, select Samsung devices and such.
But they're pushing for it. They're pushing for it.
Yeah, they are. They really
they're pushing
are.
for it.
And I do think it's a genuine way to go forward, saying, you know what, the caveat to this is, if it doesn't work perfect, don't come bitching to us. It's not been prioritised for your device yet. But if you want to trial it and it works, that's the fantasticness of open source platform. It may or may not run depending on your technical limitations and what you're happy with.
All we need to do is, when you boot a game, have a disclaimer come up and go and saying this phone isn't certified for Google Stadia. Experience may vary.
Yeah, and I for one would love that, because I'm playing, like I said, Assassin's Creed at the moment, and all the mop stuff I'm doing away from my PC. I've actually got a Samsung tablet now. It annoys me. It works on my Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus phone, but I do really want a bigger screen at this moment in time, and I have a Samsung tablet that's a whole 10 inches bigger. Joke, perfectly lined up there. And I'd love to play it on that instead. However, I can't at this moment in time because it's not a certified device. But if this app did roll out this kind of update, no doubt it would run probably quite smoothly. So, fingers crossed.
I've still got my old Xperia XZ that I used to use before I got my Pixel. I'm curious to see if it will work on this.
Because the rollout of these...
because the phone's ancient and it's got a massive crack in the screen. But
that won't stop it. But either way, we're seeing these updates roll out, and they're due probably soon. But I really do think that Google we've done the Connect, we've got the game announcement. I think we're probably due another technical update in regards to, again, how they're going to compare to next gen specification performance. We've seen the big guns from Microsoft and Sony come out now and say this is the PS5, this is the Xbox. We do need to see, probably before these release, what Stadia's going to do to stack up and square up with these other platforms and say, you know what, we're still relevant, we're not outdated. The great thing with Stadia is we can bring ourselves forward without new hardware. I think they need to showcase that. They need to give us some updates on crowd share and all the other little intricate points that essentially were promised at launch, and we're now coming up on, a year nearly come November, so... we need to start getting these updates coming through, but hopefully this is the road to success, what we've been hoping and dreaming of. But that brings us all to the end of the news. I think a big takeaway from that is we're getting games, everybody. That's the best thing. Lots of games. So many games that you're not even going to be able to play them all, I guarantee it. But that does bring us to the end of the news for the show. We do want a massive shout out as well to our Patreon supporters out there. Huge thank you. We've seen a massive uptake in our Patreon page, and it's just, again, a credit to you. Fantastic community. Hopefully it just shows us that you are genuinely enjoying our content. It is a bit of a hobby for us, but it does make it a lot easier when we look at reinvesting back in the channel. I know I've bought a new PC to be able to do streams. Richie, you're on the road to picking one up yourself.
I'm literally waiting for a credit card to turn up so I can order it.
Yeah, and as anyone knows who's remotely techie out there, this shit don't come cheap. Tom can give you an intricate breakdown of every part of and component of that PC and how much they cost. So we are obviously wanting to bring you the best content. We're trying to update our audio, our visuals, our graphics and stuff. Subscriptions. I'm now subscribed to Photoshop just so we can make cleaner, sharper graphics for you all. But we're so happy that you've joined us on this journey. It really, really does mean a lot, and you're really helping our hobby and our passions really, really flourish, and we do appreciate your time, your energy, and the little likes that you give us down the bottom in the comments. It does really bring a smile to our face. So massive thank you to yourselves, the wider Stadia community. It really does, yeah. It gives you the energy to drag yourself out of bed on a morning, because this podcast has been recorded on a morning for a change, now afternoon.
So not only did we have a late night stream, we decided to record like 2 hours earlier than you.
Yeah, so who says we're not committed to bringing you quality content? But yes, big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters. It does mean a lot, and there is exclusive content over there as well. So if you would like to see a bit more behind the scenes, how the sausage is made per se, check out our Patreon page as well. And it does start at 78 pence or $1. So if you're looking around thinking, oh, I'm on lockdown, I'm saving a bit of money, where can I donate to? We'd massively appreciate the support, and we can reinvest that back in this show as well. Any final thoughts from you two, gentlemen? Anything you'd like to say before we wrap up for the week?
Just check out the Stadia Creators Cup streams, Lost Word 6 again, and keep an eye on our Twitter account for any upcoming live streams. I think you've got more plans for Assassin's Creed streams, haven't you, Chris?
I do indeed. If you're listening to this on a Monday, check out tomorrow, Tuesday.
I'm personally thinking about doing a regular stream when I get my new PC, so I'll keep you posted on that.
I thank the both of you really for sort of like getting involved, like getting these streams up and running. Because for myself, for those of you who haven't watched all of the content recently, I am going to be moving home in like the next month or so. So for me, I'm gonna be in a difficult position of being able to do those things. So I'm probably going to end up having to no choice but to take a step back for a short while. So this is just my opportunity to say thank you both to Chris and Richie for for jumping in. And the Assassin's Creed Odyssey streams have been fantastic, and your support with the content behind the scenes has been incredible as well. So thank you very much for that, guys. I'm not going anywhere per se. I'm moving home.
You physically are going somewhere else.
Literally, at some point, my computer has to get packed away. Things have to be moved. I am moving across the country. So you can see the boxes in the background for those of you who are watching the video. It is happening. It just essentially means that I don't have the flexibility of being able to do a lot of things that I otherwise would have loved to have do at this time. It's just the timing of these things, but I'll still be here. I'll still be here for the podcast, and I'll be in chat, and I'll be playing alongside with these gents as well. So, but thank you guys. Thank you for all your support.
No props. The exciting thing about your move is you're actually moving a lot closer to me and Chris, so you might get to see more stuff where we're three of us are in the same room.
Yeah, Tom's taking Get Packed very, very seriously.
Yeah.
Even though they screwed him over on his on buying it and then getting it for free.
I'm not going to pack myself.
Yeah, we drive to go see each other.
Exactly.
True.
That was always the grand plan for the show, was to bring you it all. Essentially, the three of us in one room and talking and getting our reactions face to face and making it a bit more human, essentially. And now we've been separated into these colourful cubes that you see before you on the video stream. But actually, in a way, it's forced us to evolve our content into something I'd like to think has been a lot better in the quality. So again, final thoughts massively.
Other people have basically stole our format of like using Discord that we've been using like right from day one. Now everyone's doing this because of lockdown.
Pioneers, some would say, pioneers. But either way, that's it. Yeah, massive thank you, Tom. We do appreciate it. And again, it's all the team effort here at Sounds of Stadia. We will love to bring you the content, and you get 3 different perspectives, all coming to you every Monday for a lovely Stadia and gaming news podcast. So thank you for tuning in to episode 36. We'd love it if you joined us next week for 37. There's streams throughout the week, and check out some of our other content because we've been doing quite a lot of different stuff recently. So go check that out. We really would love it. And log on to Twitter and have a chat with us, get involved. That's what it's all about. But no, thank you very much again. I feel like I've said thank you about 100 times now, but thank you. We will see you on the other side. So my name's been Chris.
Tom.
I've been Richie.
We've been Sounds of Stadia, everybody. Thank you very much for watching again. Goodbye.